Hey, I've been on. It's just no one has sent me any questions, so I didn't know where to start or what you want me to do. So I hope you can hear me. I looked to check my email and I'm not sure what you're struggling now is prediction. Okay, well I need something more than that, I guess, because if you're just given a line, say 2x plus 2, if you want to predict and say, x is 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to predict when x is 10, you just plug 10 in and you get 22 in that problem. Oh, you can't see the whiteboard? Can you see it now? Okay, all right. I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. Okay, so suppose you have the line equation. Okay, that's called either the regression line or the least square line. And suppose x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you want to predict when what happens when x is 10. You just stick 10 into the problem and you get the y value of 22. So I'm not sure if you're asking about what to predict, how to predict. Is there something else, just like a little more specific?
Okay, just like one on the one of the hurricane questions when it wanted you to predict. I think one of the questions maybe on the knowledge check or learning check was about. I'm not even sure if it was a hurricane question, but it gave you. Oh, it was the West Nile question. That's what it was. Asking you that it gave you a value, a prediction value of how many deaths there would be, and then asked you. I didn't know how to calculate that.
Okay.
With the data given.
I have the homework. That was right off the top of my head. And I can work through that one.
Okay.
I mean, I can go into the homework, but I can't seem. It's probably in 6.4.
I think so. I'll see if I can find it.
Oh, it's number 2. In 6.4?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Oh, well, that's all you do. That's all you do is just plug that in.
Okay, but I got it wrong, so either
I
can't.
I just read it too quickly. Okay, let me just read it out loud so everybody, because I'm recording it, so everybody will know what we're talking about. According to the data reported by the New York State Department of Health regarding West Nile virus for the years 2000 and 2008, the least squares line equation of number of reported dead birds versus the number of human West Nile virus cases is y equals, okay, they give you an equation. If the number of dead birds is reported in a year is 732, how many human cases can be expected. Okay, so the equation, I know why you got this wrong because it's kind of a trick question. So I will explain that. Okay, so there's our line equation. X represents number of dead birds, and Y is the human number of virus cases, West Nile. Okay, so if X is 732, they want to know how many human cases can be expected. Now, here's the trick. You have to look at R. R is 0.5490. Okay, so the problem is that this is not close to 1. So there's two conditions for prediction, two conditions. One, it has to be, does it look like a line? Number two, is R significant? Now, this R is not close to 1, so we can't really use, it is a line because this is in the form y equal mx plus b. A line is y equal mx plus b, where m is the slope. So we have m right here and our y-intercept right here. So we do have a line equation because x is degree 1. That means it's x to the first power. If it was x squared, it would be degree 2. But if it's just plain old x, then we have a line. That's how you tell. And it's in the form y equal mx plus b. And our r is not close enough to 1. So that means our scatter plot is probably all over the place. I mean, it probably, if you drew the scatter plot for this, it would probably look like, you know, something like that, where it might be linear, but 732 is way, well, it doesn't even give us the range.
So the right answer would be you can't predict that.
Right, because it's too weak.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's kind of tricky because it's because of that last sentence.
Okay, and I have
I'm sorry. Oh, also, I mean, you could take this further if you don't understand that, but it said between the years 2000 and 2008. So that's like 9 years.
Right.
Or, well, 1 is 2000, 2 is 2001, 3 is 2002, 4, 2003, 5, 2004, 6, 2005, 7 is 2006, 8, 2007. So 9 will be 2008. If you put that in the Pearson calculator, like n equal 9, then your P is going to be high. It's going to be greater than 0.05. So it's not significant. So you could take it a step further, but I think you don't have to do all that. You could just say that R is like in the middle between 0 and 1, so it's kind of weak correlation, and you don't really want to use it to predict.
Okay, and then I have just one more question.
Okay.
When you're doing your scatter plot and it says like y equals, and then it might have the x value first.
Yeah.
Flip those two and put the x at the end.
You don't have to. I usually like the x in the beginning. I mean, in algebra, you usually do something x plus or minus the number. So usually you put the x in front. So I don't know why Excel is it backwards.
Okay. But,
Really
all right, so because it works out the same, I've noticed when you do the actual calculation, but I didn't know for the test moving forward, like
No,
if on the.
it doesn't matter. Yeah, it won't
Okay.
matter.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Now, I know you had a question about the hurricanes. Did you get that?
I took that test. I did figure that out on the hurricanes.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. And then you also wanted to know the difference between R and R squared. Is that clear?
Well, some of the terminology when you're reading through the material, like the correlation coefficient, which is basically the R score, right?
No, that's R.
So the correlation coefficient is R.
Right. In R,
Okay.
what R tells you is how strong the relationship is. If it's close to 1, it's very strong. If it's close to 0, it's weak. And it also tells you the direction. So if R is positive, then the line increases. And if R is negative, the line decreases. So it tells you strength and direction.
Okay. So then what is the correlation, or is it of determination? I was looking forward to the homework, and it said about I think it's correlation of determination or something, coefficient.
Yeah, that one is coefficient of determination.
So it's R squared. So it's
right.
The first value. Okay.
That and to get the two are related. I mean, you just take this either square R to get R squared, or take the square root of R squared to get R. And you can do that in Excel. But the R squared is the percent of variation. Usually you write it as a percent of Y based on the percent of variation of X. So it tells you how the second column changes in respect to the first column. That's all that tells you. So we don't use that very often.
Okay. All right.
Okay. If you have something else, just chime in. Alicia has a question, so go ahead on the end of the week assignment. I have that in front of me, so you can go ahead and ask. I have the end of the week assignment. Alicia, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tracy? Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so go ahead, what's your question? In the wrap up, when I put data in Excel to get my slope, it isn't showing. Okay, I know how to use Excel to get the slope, but I never do that. I mean, I always go straight for the whole line equation. So I'm not sure what the question is. You just want to find the slope given some numbers? Can you give me the specific part of the wrap up? So I can go ahead, I can switch to Excel and do it. 4. Oh, what did you get for your line equation? because you don't have to use Excel to get the slope for your line equation. Excel should give you the form y equal mx plus b, and the number in front of x is your slope. That's all you have to do for that. So like if you had y equal 1.7x minus 3.4, your slope is 1.7. You're off. That's incorrect on the line equation for that. So I'm not sure. Are you? Let's see. I think did the data start at Q3? I don't have the exact problem in front of me. Didn't it start at, I forgot what year, Q3 08? Q3 08, so that should be 1. And then it went to Q4 08, and that should be 2. And then it went back to Q1 09, and that should be 3. So you should be using these numbers as your X. You're really close in your line equation, but you're off just a little bit. So I think you're missing one of the quarters. Yes, and that's what number 2 means. If you look at the directions of number 2, it says put the data into Excel. Plot the points on the scatter graph. I'm reading number 2. In a scatter plot, the x-axis will always reflect 1, 2, 3, not the quarters specifically. So for the first quarter of 3 and 08, you should be using 1. The next 2, and then you go down the rows. And Tracy, this is the same thing that you should do for that major hurricane problem. Instead of the decades, you can use the 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
So let me look at the hurricane problem. Let me go back since we're doing kind of the same thing. Let's see. The hurricane problem, let's see, that was in 6-4. So the first decade was 1941 and 1950. You could just make that 1, and then the major hurricanes was 10. And then from 1951 to 1960, you make that 2. Major hurricanes was 8. And this is what you use in Excel. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, good. Okay, so and Alicia, you don't have to use Excel to find the slope. Like, since this is the incorrect answer, but for the wrap up 6 number 4, you have y equal 51.79. It's a little off. So I think if you go back, if you want to send me the answer, when you can email me the answer, I'll check it. But all you have to say is this is the slope and this is the intercept. Now, I mean, if you want to use Excel, what you would do, let me find the problem again, and I have so many papers here. You would again do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I mean I don't have the numbers and then keep going down. I don't have these numbers, but you could just, what you could do is say equal in one of the cells, and then you type slope in capital letters, and you select all these numbers. Now, I mean, I can go to Excel and just make up a problem and do it if you want to see that, but you really don't have to do that. I want to save you some time. You can just pick it off your line equation. Would that work? Or, I mean, I can go to Excel if you want. It's not a problem. Either way. Oh, okay. All right. The y variable. All right. Okay, yeah, the quarters were the x values. Okay, okay, let me just look a little bit. So, and on that same problem, it asks you, again, this is the wrap up 6. It asks you what R is. R is the correlation coefficient. So R is just the square root of the R squared. That's how I find it. I mean, you can use Excel to do that, but there's no reason to do that. You have, oh, and then you have to, if the line is going up, you have to remember that R is positive. If the line's going down, then R is negative. So you have to make sure you get your sign right there. All right, so since you're not quite right on that, you're just a tiny bit off on that wrap-up problem on the line equation, just email it to me either after this, or you can work on it now, and you can get it if you want to, and then I'll check it before you submit it if you want me to. Okay, anything else? All right, well, thanks for coming on, and like, I'll still answer emails and stuff, so let's see, Friday's the question and answers. I always go through those and answer any questions and clear things up. And I'll probably do, a little grading and stuff, but the coaches do the grading. So if you want to send me the stuff before you submit it, I'll be happy to look at it before you do your final submission. All right. Well, I really enjoyed having you in the class, and I'll wait here in case some other people come on late. But again, I really enjoyed this class, and thanks for all your questions, because that's the only way you're going to learn is if people would ask questions. Hey, those are already washed.
They couldn't be, they're already dry.
Sure. It's called, I don't know, there's, which one? The coefficient, there's a coefficient of determination, that's R squared, and there's the correlation coefficient. Now, by going over it, do you mean like do Excel and get a number, or go over what they mean, or what do you need help with? How to find it in Excel, or how to? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I understand about second guessing. I do it all the time. Like if you give me a problem in the homework, I can go over it. Or if it's a concept, I can go over that too. If you just want to know the definition, again, R just tells you how strong the correlation is and the direction, plus or minus. So plus means increasing, minus is decreasing. And if you know R, then you just do R times R. That's R squared. You just do a calculator for that. And that tells you the percent of variation let's see. Of Y that can be explained by the variation in X Okay, so it's not the correlation determination. There's two different ones, and I get them mixed up too, so no worries. But it's the coefficient of determination and the correlation coefficient is R. And we want R to be close to 10 so that the data represents the line. But if it's close to 0, then it's there's no relationship. No linear relationship. Okay, so I mean, does that help, or is that what you were kind of asking about? And are you okay with finding it in Excel? Because I don't have a problem with going to Excel. Did I lose you? I guess I'm losing you. The line of best fit is what we've been doing. The line of best fit is the regression line that you do in Excel. It's the same thing. I don't know what's going on. I keep losing people. I don't know what's happening. So let me go over that again. The regression line, the line of best fit, the trend line in Excel, least squares line, those are all the same. Anytime it says line, that's what we're doing. We're only doing linear regression. So, I mean, do you want to do an example? Because those examples I did Wednesday morning, I did 3 or 4 examples. When you just go to Excel and find the line, that's what we've been doing. So all of that is the same thing. It's just named. It has different names, but it's still that line. So anytime it asks you for some kind of a line, it's what we're doing. It's called regression or line of best fit. But see, you can also fit parabolas to that U shape. You can fit polynomials, fit exponentials, logarithms to lines. So we're only learning about one type of progression. So do I keep losing you? Okay, yeah, email me your problem. So, and I'll look at it. So you can do it tonight, or I'll look at it in the morning. If you send it before 9 or 9:30, I'll look at it tonight. If not, I'll look at it in the morning. So, all right. And if you have any questions I didn't answer, just email me them also, so I can get you started on those. Okay. I'll look forward to hearing from you. Have a good night.